Welcome to the Spa Hive podcast. We're your hosts, Julie Pankey
and MaryAnn, spa leaders, business strategists, and business besties who are pulling back the curtain on what it actually takes to grow a business and a life you don't secretly want to escape from.
This is where leadership meets honesty, where revenue meets relationships, and where we talk about the things no one puts on Instagram.
So, if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a high achiever who's building something meaningful, but also navigating team dynamics, burnout, boundaries, and big goals, you're in the right place.
No highlight reels, no sugarcoating, just real conversations, practical strategy, and a little laughter along the way. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to our Spa Hive podcast, our Business Besties Spa Hive podcast. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, MaryAnn.
Julie, good morning to our listeners. Julie, how are you this morning?
Great.
Wonderful. Did you have your
Yesterday,
herbs?
I had a restorative day, my Aura Ring said.
You had a restorative day yesterday?
Yeah, and I only sleep 6 hours. But yesterday, I had acupuncture, so that was 25 minutes of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I received a demo facial yesterday afternoon. So I didn't fall asleep because, I was talking to the vendors, but I was relaxed. Even though I drove 4 hours yesterday. That gave me 4 extra hours into my book.
Yeah. Well,
this is kind of a shorty book, so.
Yeah, well, let's kick this off. So we are going, Julie and I invite you, all of our lovely listeners, to read along with us for our, it's not technically summer yet, so our spring book club. And I binge read the book yesterday, and I saved myself 2 chapters for today. So I'm super excited to get back to that. But what's the book, Julie? Okay, so the book is You Deserve to Know by Aggie Plum Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
So, Julie, now you actually picked this book for us, which I am so surprised because I am really enjoying it. And typically, we don't have the same taste in books for the most part.
No, you like a lot of spice.
Spice, yeah, but so if I'm not reading spice, I like thriller. And then if I'm not reading like a thriller mystery type of thing, I'm reading like Girls Vacation on the Coast of Maine and like Generational Talk. It's like 3 very specific categories.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I would say I like books with strong female characters. So this one does not really have that. But I also like God of the Woods, was a kind of mystery.
I did like God of the Woods too.
Thriller book. I've done a few like this. I mean, out of, last year's, however many was it, 1920. And this year I'm trying to get to 2026. I'm trying to get to 26 books in 2026. And I think I'm at like 40%. So this one will get me pretty close, I think, to 50, which is good because the end of the month will be at 50, 50% of the year. So I'm on track. Yeah, so I picked this because I feel like it was I was trying to pick something that was a twist, kind of a combination of, what's like a beachy read, like a juicier beachy read with mystery. I'm not sure I call it thriller, but I don't know.
No.
Maybe I don't know how to define thriller because I just don't like, horror, thrasher, bloody, but I don't mind suspense. I mean, I
I
do
think
like
it
suspense.
Yeah, I think it's more like psychological thriller a bit because it keeps you thinking, and usually the main characters have like some type of twisted psychological thing going on. Um, so we will put the book in our show notes so you can go over and just buy it from there if you want to read along with us. But again, is You Deserve to Know by Aggie Thompson. And I love it because the locale is based in the suburbs of DC. And so that's relatively close to where I am. And they even shout out to Baltimore a few times in the book. So love that.
Well,
And
isn't Bethesda, Maryland?
yeah, Bethesda's Maryland, yeah.
Ugh.
Because you can't, nobody can live in DC. It's too expensive. Um, but I love it. I've been loving it so far. I got another book by her to follow up after this one. So
Mm,
we will keep you posted in a future episode as we dissect this book.
definitely. We will. I just can't believe how you can read a book in a day.
It's just because I hyperfixate on things. And, honestly, my day yesterday was probably the best day of the week thus far. And so maybe I just need to hyperfixate on books every single day. And it makes it a
Ah.
better day.
Hmm. I am getting my herbs right now.
Great. Let's get started. We are talking about creativity and is modern life making us boring?
So what's killing our creativity? So why do so many of us feel less creative? Less spontaneous, less curious, maybe a little less interesting. Um, and this isn't an episode about phones are ruining our society or how AI is killing our creativity. It's a conversation about whether modern life has made everything easier, perhaps at a cost of, killing our creativity a little bit.
I love it. So let's talk about what creativity is, because I feel like in the past, Julie, like when you have said to me, "Oh, I feel like my creativity is is stifled, or I'm not feeling creative." I always think of creativity as like artistic design or content creation, right? Like really using that part of your brain. But creativity is actually problem solving, it's leadership, it's parenting, it's innovation, adapt adaptability, and dreaming up what's next.
Right. And I think, there used to be a time that, you just sit and stared out your car window, right? Like I'm taking Gary for a procedure that I have to wait for. And, back in the day, I would go in and read a magazine or just sit in my car, right? Listen to music. No, now we've got our phone scrolling. Maybe I bring my computer. Also, I feel like we don't quiet our brains a lot of times enough to just have that downtime. And I know that we've done an episode about this in the past about taking time out of your day to just sit and do nothing other
Right.
than sit. And so, for me, my most creative moments usually come in, the moments of like quiet and stillness. My most creative moments don't come while I'm scrolling my phone. The most
Right.
creative moments come while I'm taking a shower, while I'm trying to fall asleep at night, while I'm taking a walk, sitting by the water, not on my phone.
The biggest things is that we're not getting bored anymore. I mean, I know this is a big topic in parenting as well. They're saying, not letting your kids get bored is a disservice to them for a
Right.
variety of different reasons. But one is that it doesn't foster that creativity that kids have an overabundance of, and that just slowly dies down as you get older. So yeah, we're not getting bored. Any single moment we have, we can take our phone out, scroll, scroll, scroll. We can, open up. Everything has to be optimized. Every moment we have is getting optimized these days, which slowly just eats away at your creativity. I would say
Right.
that
Like, go ahead.
I was going to say, you were saying, where do you get your best ideas? But I would say my best ideas come from actually when I have not necessarily quiet time, but I would say like devoted time, and at least some of the distractions are out, right? It's when I am not having to multitask 5 different things.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
when I actually think, oh, you know what? This would be a great idea, or this would be a great podcast topic, or this is what we should do for our next lead generator. That's when I actually have ideas, is when I'm not multitasking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there are studies that show, and I don't have one in front of me, but that, people can't multitask. That we say
Right.
we're the masters at multitasking, and Gary will be one to say, that's BS. That people cannot dedicate their time fully, and their brain is like, you might think you're a master at multitasking, but you know, you're not. We're not really meant or capable of, being masters at multitasking. I will say, I do think I was a better multitasker when I was younger than I am now. So I don't know if I have less brain cells, less attention span. But maybe I just thought I was and wasn't. But I think it's true. Like, as kids, you know, there's things that you like. If you're bored, I can remember saying I'm bored, and it's like, well, find something to do, right? And same, I mean, when Layla was little, she's like, there's nothing to do. I'm like, go create something to do, and she would like create elaborate things, like a obstacle course like through our house that then she would do, or she would like cage the dog in with pillows that obviously he could step over, and then create some, like fantasy, creative, story and game that she's playing, with Bronx while he, just sleeps captive, in a fort of pillows. And I think, for sure for me as an only child, right? I've always been very creative and, have had to entertain myself always. So I think that, for me, I need that alone time to be creative, that quiet time. But also, when you're doing the same thing for so long, like what I've done, in the spa and wellness world for 30 plus years, it's sometimes hard to continue to be creative. And so you really, really need to like tap into some kind of inspiration that can help you continue to evolve and be creative. And that's a lot of times when I say, like, I feel like I don't use my creativity enough.
Right.
But it's funny because people that I work with will say, it's just because it comes so natural to you, but to the rest of us, it does seem new and different and innovative. And, the stuff you tell us and the things we learn are things that we didn't know before. And even though it just feels like it comes so naturally to you, like it's doesn't even seem like a learning lesson, but is because it's something that like they didn't know.
Right.
So although I feel like I'm not being creative enough, also thinking of who your audience is that's receiving, the information, whether it's kids, whether it's, employees, whether it's your clients, that, you are creative for them because that's why they need you. So yeah, I mean, for me, I do need that. I guess it's the left brain part of things. I feel like what I do just does come so naturally that I want to be more creative, and that's I think why I love my gardening. Doing things that are more creating.
Yeah, that's true.
Um I'm not super crafty. Um I mean, if I had the time, I probably could be. I mean, I like to cook.
Yeah.
I like to create in my garden. Like I would love to have more time to spend on some kind of a creative outlet. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah, you and I are not similar with this gardening. You really do enjoy it, and I really do not enjoy it. We put those seeds in, like I was telling you, just some basic seeds. What were they, like wildflower seeds, in some pots. And I'm pretty sure the squirrels already started to get into them and then
mm,
thrash around soil all over my deck. So that was obnoxious. Um, I really don't enjoy gardening, but I like to look at it. It's nice until I start sneezing. Um, but there's other ways I like to be creative. I do enjoy my punch needling, which I've been trying to get back into desperately. That handicraft, I like that. But I think also just like you were saying, a lot of creativity is problem solving, and that almost I feel like is one of the most important things as we go through business and life to still get creative with your problem solving, right?
mhm.
So
Right.
the next thing that we want to talk about modern life is making us boring is, and I think this is the case for a lot of people. I do not think neither Julie nor I have this issue, but everything has become content.
Mhm.
So are we enjoying the experience or did we just document it? Did we go on vacation or did we just create vacation content? Did we read the book or did we just post the book?
Right.
Um, I can see how this can be an issue, especially because there are so many micro influencers out there and wannabe influencers out there that can happen. I've seen it a lot when I'm following like parent vloggers, which is a
Mhm.
whole different ethical conversation. But, they're not really engaged in whatever that moment is. They're just capturing it
Right.
to make good content.
Right. And I think that, it was something like Gary and I decided, I don't know, it was probably like during COVID, or right after COVID, that, the most important thing is not things, right? That let's not focus on, buying bigger and better things or, super big, elaborate gifts, but to focus on making memories that can last forever. You know what I mean? And so it's better to make a memory that stays with you. As your kids get older, we'll stay with them. We'll live on through photos. I mean, I
Right.
still think about, because I have no real memory, I don't feel like, as a kid before maybe age 4,
Yeah.
maybe even 5. Like I have little memories, but then I think about some of my memories have been reinforced through photos.
Yeah, well, don't they
Be
say that is what like a memory kind of really is? Like every time we think of a memory, we're actually recreating it.
Right. So when I look back at photos, I'm like, do I actually really remember this situation? Or is it like, do I remember my 4th birthday, or do I remember it because have seen it, you know, 100 times in a picture, for example? Or like when I broke my arm, do I remember, like, I remember it happening,
Right.
but then do I remember, like, going to Halloween dressed up, with my arm, like, taped to my body? No, I don't, but I remember it through, like, the photos. So I kind of think that, we just recently went to New York, I don't know, a month ago, and with, some team members, and one of them had to have taken 1,000 pictures.
I love that.
Every time we looked for her, she didn't cross the street because she was taking pictures of herself and, like, holding her thing up and taking videos. And I mean, she was, like, literally photo documenting every practically every second.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Come on." I'm like, "Come on." Like, I'm like, "What does your husband say when you do this at home?"
Right.
And she said, "He can't say anything." I'm like, "Okay." But, she has 3 kids, and, her Instagram is gorgeous. She's gorgeous, her kids are gorgeous. Um a lot of it is very staged. But she's also like a side photographer, like that's her passion. She
Yeah.
likes to do photography, so I understand it, but I was kind of like, you're not even having fun because you're spending like all this time just taking pictures of it.
Right.
And she's like, but that's for my memories.
That makes
I don't
sense.
know. I think like when Gary and I go somewhere, I feel like there is a balance. So, as a business owner and a content creator, I am expected to create content. And when I don't create content, I get in trouble. So,
I was just looking at you and I was like, when is the last time you created content, Julie?
when Gary and I were in Connecticut, I took some content. I took pictures of myself so that we could use it. Um, In New York, yeah, I took some pictures that we could use. Um, so like I'll say to Gary, "Okay, let's just do some pictures. Take a few pictures of me, and then I'll take some pictures of where I am, like the spa or whatever, and then it's done, right?" And Gary always says, "You should be followed around by a photographer."
Huh. You're like, yeah, that's
And
me,
I'm
Gary.
right. So I feel like, as a business owner, right, people want to, whether you're a dog walker, you sell Mary Kay, whatever, people, want to see like you, the real you. They want to be able to connect with you as a person, not just a business. So that is important. But I think that, that's one of the things that contributes to killing our creativity is that we're just not being present in the moment. And, we're saying, I mean, I guess we're being creative on how can I document this so that
Right.
it looks better than it really is. But have you ever caught yourself doing something, because it would make a good post? Oh, this will make a good post. Kids, go do this.
No, I don't
Or,
think so. I mean, there are certain things like, oh, I want a picture of them doing something. Um, but like that, like the woman you were saying, is more for my memories. And even when I'm posting, half the time it's for my memories because like when I post, usually on Facebook, right? Um,
mm-hmm.
it'll pop up in a year from now and it'll be like, oh, remember this was last year. And so half the time I do it for that so that I can like look back on it. But I don't really think I curate the kids in a way to make a good post. Especially because, my Facebook is private, right? So
Right.
the people who I've allowed don't really care if the post looks good or not. Let's finish this up with the third thing, which I think is really important. The third thing that is making us boring and losing our creativity is we've outsourced everything, right? We've outsourced thinking. So we need directions, we have our GPS on. We need an answer, we're using AI. You need a graphic, you're using AI. Need a restaurant, using Google. You need a phone number, hopefully you have it saved because no one's remembering phone numbers. Modern convenience is amazing, but I feel like we are always exercising fewer and fewer mental muscles.
Right.
Which I don't know
Yeah,
about
and I
you,
think
but
we talked about. Oh, yeah.
I don't know about you, but when there'll be some times when I kind of know how to get to someplace, but kind of don't know, and I turn off my GPS, and it's like I am like an adventurer, right? It feels like I tap into something else because I'm like, let me see if I can get there just by using my brain. But I think that's an example of it. Like my husband is one of those that will literally use the GPS to get to the grocery store that we live 2 minutes from.
Really?
Yes, he uses GPS for everything.
So I will use my GPS to drive home and back, to the lovely resort that I work with. And do it for timing. Like I want to see
Yeah,
how long it's going to take me. And then of course I use Waze so it tells me
traffic.
about traffic. But even if you don't have the GPS, like the actual GPS programmed and you have Waze on, it will still tell you about traffic.
Think we're just starting to use less and less of our memory and our brain
Yes.
muscles.
Right. Well, maybe modern life isn't making us boring. Maybe it's making us too comfortable. And, comfort is wonderful. Like, it's great to order up your groceries and have them delivered to your house, right? I mean, I barely go to a grocery store and look at the things that might be interesting. I just buy the same things all the time until it starts to replace your curiosity, your creativity, your resilience, and your sense of adventure. So that's the debate. And I suspect that, we won't all agree on the answer. But if you want to keep your creativity and you want to foster creativity, try avoiding one of those 3 traps that we mentioned that might be, killing some of our creativity. And then we'll see you here next time live in the Spa Hive.
Hey, I think we should expand upon this in another episode, Julie. I'm feeling creative. Huh. As always, check out our show notes. Don't forget to grab the book for our spring/summer book club, and we'll read it together and dissect it together because that's a fun time. Bye, Julie. Bye, listeners.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining us today in the Spa Hive.
If this episode sparked an idea, made you think differently, or just made you feel a little less alone in business or life, share it with someone who might need it too.
Don't forget to follow the podcast so you never miss a conversation.
And check out the show notes for links, resources, and ways to stay connected with us, including the Spa 101 course taught by our very own Julie Pinky.
We're so grateful you're part of this community.
And we'll see you next time.